talking about.
What's up, family? Tupac was killed on September 13, 1996 in Las Vegas, following a drive-by shooting. Just 6 months later, in Los Angeles, Biggie was gunned down, following a Soul Train Music Awards party. Although it's been over 25 years, their friends, fans, and family still want to know who did it. Now you got this cop out of Los Angeles, well, former cop, Craig Caden, who claims he knows who did it. In a documentary that actually came out back in 2016 called Murder Rap, he claims the culprit is none other than Diddy. Yeah. He says Diddy put the hit out on Tupac for $1 million. He claims that there was a discussion between Diddy and a guy who was holding him down in terms of security in Los Angeles. And this guy was a gang member. And he took the job for $1 million. Now, who believes that? Which of you believes that Diddy, at the time known as Puff Daddy, murdered Tupac Shakur? Who believes it? I'll give you a few seconds to think about it. Okay, time's up. Family, this is not hard to figure out. I'm talking about the part where he's saying that Diddy actually put the hit out on Pop. Let me tell y'all something. First and foremost, I believe that Diddy is 1,000% innocent. I don't think there's a shred of truth to what the cop is saying. Remember, fam, he's a LAPD, former LAPD. LAPD is among the worst of the worst of the worst of the worst. I don't trust Greg Caden as far as I can throw him. Now, I'm not naive enough to think that there wasn't a conversation that happened at some point that involved some gangster stuff. Because people say a lot of things when they're upset or they're in survival mode. But I don't think there was a particular conversation between Diddy and anyone that was responsible for Pac being murdered on that night. I'll tell you who I think did it. But first, let's look at these conspiracy theories. Some people are saying that, okay, Puff did it for $1 million. It makes sense. But you also got to think about, well, if he did it for $1 million, couldn't they just run the bank accounts? $1 million is a lot of money to move. You got to move a lot of money. And oftentimes, you'll leave a paper trail. Now, of course, that money could have been moved and could have been diverted into other areas and paid out in cash, if that's actually what happened. But needless to say that theory is out there. You got people who are saying, well, Puff was in survival mode. Suge was talking about getting Puff, and Puff struck first. Then you got people who are saying the Illuminati killed him. All types of conspiracy theories. And I understand it, fam. A lot of times, most of the times, damn near every single time a celebrity dies, somebody thinks that there's a conspiracy. The Illuminati got him, They always, Puff got his wife killed, his ex-wife killed. He was responsible for Kim getting killed. She was a sacrifice. And, people just have all of these things, and it trips me out reading some of the comments. In any event, Here's what I think happened. I think Pac's murder was as simple as Pac stomped out a gang member, Orlando Anderson, a Crip, and he got green lighted. As simple as that. See, a lot of times, people look at people in gangs and stuff and people in the streets and they think, oh man, they jealous, man, so you can't come around your people. It really ain't that. Sometimes that happens, yes. But most of the times, these guys in the gangs and stuff like that, they really look up to guys who come out of the streets and they make it. Because they feel like if they can make it, then there's hope for them. I don't think anybody would have ever touched Pac if Pac hadn't touched them. I don't think if Pac had not put his hands on Orlando Anderson, I don't think Pac would have been killed by Orlando Anderson. And, I got my reasons also for knowing that or believing that Orlando Anderson actually was the trigger man. Either way you slice it up, Tupac and Biggie may be gone in the physical form, but they'll never be forgotten, and their music will live forever. No more talk. What the haters talking about?
Okay, everybody, before I start this video, I would like to thank Willie D out of Willie D Live for this story. It's been crazy. I've been a fan for both artists, both Biggie and Tupac. With this East Coast versus West Coast drama, we've been hearing a lot of smoke. Now, everybody asks, and thanks to the former LAPD cop, Craig Keegan, they're saying, did he really put a hit out on Tupac Shakur? Did he really assassinate Tupac Shakur? This situation, saying that, according to the former LA cop there, saying that Diddy, aka Puff Daddy, aka Sean Combs, gave the member of the Crips $1 million to order a hit out on Tupac Shakur. Which is, in my opinion, ridiculous. But, we've been hearing like all of this stuff going on between Pac and Biggie and making the East Coast versus West Coast thing. How Suge Knight helped, Tupac when he was out of prison in Atlanta, signed with Death Row Records. When basically the word is that, he was talking about, well, Diddy and Suge Knight had beef, dealing with their family members, dealing with their associates, and all started out with that. And then when, Suge, paid, really signed, Tupac to Death Row. And then, and remember, Tupac made a song about Biggie's wife, Faith, and hit him up. That's when the East Coast, West Coast beef happened. Now, they claim, this is what, back in those days, in Tupac and Death Row claiming that Biggie made a song against him called Who Shot Ya? Which Biggie said that's not the case. Bad Boy Records, Diddy and Bad Boy said that's also not the case. They wouldn't even talk about Tupac. Because remember, Tupac was in New York in Quad Studios. He was robbed and shot, thinking that Biggie set him up. Okay, let's talk about that. But then the song Who Shot You was way before that incident happened. But then the word is that song that Biggie was talking about, you know, dissing LL Cool J, the song "Who Shot You." But that's just like rumors and smoke and mirrors and whatever, right? Let's fast forward, and a lot of people would ask, did Sean Puffy Combs, aka Diddy, aka P Diddy, did he really kill Tupac Shakur? Did he plot an assassination attack against Tupac Shakur at MGM Grand with again? Because he was there. I'm talking about Tupac. Him, Suge Knight was at a Mike Tyson Bruce Seldon fight at that time. Now, the story was like Willie D just said. Basically, he attacked Orlando Anderson, right? Basically at the MGM Grand. Him, Suge Knight, and other members of the Bloods or the Pyrus attacking Orlando Anderson, which he was a member of the Crips. And then all of a sudden, Willie D was right about this when it was a green light. So basically, and they claiming that Orlando Anderson was a trigger man, but then he said it was his cousin, Keefy D, was a trigger man at the time. Either way you look at it, whoever was a trigger man took Tupac out and wounded Suge Knight, because Suge Knight was the driver. Everybody knows Suge Knight was a driver and Pac was a passenger, right? And then I mean that's that. People still didn't know who really took out Tupac. People said it was Orlando Anderson himself. People said it was his cousin Keefy D. We never know, right? It still remains a mystery. And it said the same thing about Biggie when he was in the Soul Train Music Awards in Los Angeles. They say that Suge Knight did it in retaliation. See, all of this stuff is coming out. They said that Gene Deal, who was Diddy's former bodyguard, was saying that a guy who's a Muslim, wear that bow tie, that was trying to confront Biggie at the time. All these smokes and mirrors are coming out, and the thing of it is that which is really my question is, what's really the truth here? We've been hearing smokes and mirrors that Diddy paid the members of the Crips $1 million to take out Tupac. They said the same thing with Suge Knight, ordered a hit out on Biggie when he was in Los Angeles, when he was in LA, along with Bad Boy. And then Gene Deal, Diddy's former bodyguard, he even warned Diddy, and I think this is all the interviews that he did. He even warned Diddy there's been a hit out on Bad Boy. There's been a hit out on Biggie and all the entourage. And Diddy didn't want to listen to him. He went out on the Soul Train Music Awards after party. They said Gene Deal even said that he warned these guys, don't come out there. There's been a hit. There's going to be a hit against you guys. Little they know, Biggie was gunned down, and Gene Deal, who's Diddy's former bodyguard, saying that it was some Muslim did it. They said that basically that Suge Knight paid one of the people that took Biggie out in retaliation. We really don't know what really happened. And somebody to tell these guys, let these guys rest in peace. But for all of that, remember former Detective Russell Poole, before he, succumbed his life due to a heart attack? He said that former crooked cops was involved in Biggie's hit. There were crooked cops involved in this. And the LAPD tried to dismiss all of that and say, no. Because basically, the only reason why Craig Keegan, the former LA cop, was involved, because they don't. Because remember, Biggie's mother threatened to sue the LAPD because they feel like they were involved in Biggie's murder. So her name, which is Vanilla Wallace, Biggie's mother, was filing a lawsuit against the LAPD. And the LAPD said, well, okay, we're just going to go ahead and try to solve this case. And that's when Craig Keegan figured out, oh, Diddy did the hit, gave the Crips $1 million to take out Tupac Shakur. Either way you look at it, the reality is this, y'all. That Tupac, along with Marion Suge Knight and others, and the members of the Bloods, members of Death Row Entourage, attacked Orlando Anderson, who's a member of the Crips. And that's when all hell broke loose. And so, I don't understand why Craig Keegan, who's a former LAPD cop, claiming that Diddy had a part in this hit, which there's no evidence that he was a part of this hit. I mean, it's just ridiculous. But let me know what you think about this in the comments, and I'll talk to you in the next video. This is Lions signing off. Deuces.